Hey guys, Sean Klinger with Vital MX. We are at Fox headquarters for the new launch of the V3 helmet. It's an all new helmet, and we're talking with Dave Munn, and he's going to run us through some of the technical features. Starting with old V3, is there? I mean, how much of the new V3 is similar to the old helmet?
It's Gen 2 for the MVRS, and then pretty much from there on out, it's different with the shell. It's still a multi-composite technology, but the layup is completely different. The liner, even the comfort liner, is different materials, so It's a ground up.
So tell me a little bit more about the MVRS.
So we've learned a lot. That first MVRS system was a retrofit onto an existing shell. So we were able to have that out in the market and see it in the wild in races and see how it performs. And we took what we learned there and applied it to this new MVRS system with Gen 2. And when you guys get your helmet and you can take a look at it, you can see that even the structure of the shell and the visor are such that the visor is supported in the event of a heavy roost or a light impact that we don't want it to come off. So. We were really prioritizing ventilation, and we wanted to have a lot of airflow in this helmet. In order to do that, we still need to pass tests. We still need to pass DOT tests, which is actually a pretty rigorous test where a spike has to pass through. That can't pass through that and touch the head form. So we were able to create a structure with that mesh on that chin bar that goes all the way around the eye port that will pass that test and really still allow the heavy ventilation to go through there. The chin bar looks like it might be replaceable, but it's actually in-molded. The EPS is shot into the shell versus molded separately and then glued in place.
As far as the shell shape, I mean, there's a lot of different angles and things going on. Some other helmet companies are round is best. How do you guys address that?
We've done a ton of testing on this helmet. The stiffness, we had to adjust the shell material in locations to make sure that the shell stiffness was uniform. So we've done a lot of testing to prove that the helmet performs the way we want it to, so we're pretty confident with it. The Verizorb is two different densities of EPS, and where the two different densities come together, there's a geometry which is basically like several cones, call it cone head, around there. And what that geometry does is allows the helmet to manage a larger range of energies.
So when looking at the next thing is the fluid inside pods, when those are compressing, how are the foam and the pods interacting as far as like a linear compression?
Yeah, the EPS does a majority of the linear compression management. The pods, though, have a foam inside that can manage very low speed energy. So if you tip over in a slow speed corner and bump your head, like a little slight impacts. So it's just another level of energy that the helmet can manage.
Okay, and then moving into the rotational energy management of the fluid inside pods. That's the whole point of those pods.
The price is $499 for the white and the black, and then $549 for the graphic.
I'm Blaine Hoshizaki. I'm a professor academic scientist at the University of Ottawa.
Awesome. So we're talking about the new Fox V3. Actually, a question that I saw in the presentation that was kind of interesting was that, looking at the fluid inside technology and kind of developing it for this specific helmet, you guys did testing specifically for motocross, meaning a helmet at high speeds going into dirt or turf or grass, that kind of stuff, a softer material, and you said that normally high speed has a short impact time, but with motocross, what you guys found is that it's high speed and it has a longer impact time. So can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, that was a little surprising for us because with these high speeds, if you're hitting a hard surface, like falling straight down, you would see the time start to shorten up.
Okay.
And so your helmet, of course, with the energy, the mass goes through the helmet, and the vent is really perhaps around 7-8 milliseconds.
Okay.
But what we found, and of course there'll be a high energy impact. So in those sorts of circumstances, you're more likely to see catastrophic or traumatic injury.
Okay.
You don't see a lot of them in the videos that we analyzed. What we saw were the people falling off their bikes were protecting themselves when they hit. So they get an arm out, a shoulder, and do some rolling. But in addition to that, more importantly, the angle at which they hit the ground mattered. And so that angle elongated the duration, so they would be up around 12 to 13 milliseconds, 14 milliseconds. And that event is a different event than a short event. And so for us, that was quite important. And when we analyzed the data, we realized that the dynamic response really revealed that that was a sweet spot for concussion. So really what we wanted to do, because what you try to do is get the helmet disengaged from the head.
Okay.
So it's decoupled from the head, and that allows us to then manage the rate at which the helmet rotates around the head.
Okay.
And that'll give us an opportunity to absorb energy. So that energy now is not transferred to the head. So when the head accelerates, it accelerates at a lower rate. Mm-hmm. And that's really what we're interested in.
So yesterday we were at Fox headquarters to check out the new V3 Fox helmet, and today we are at Fox Raceway to actually get to wear it and test it out on the track. So immediately, the first thing I noticed picking it up, it is pretty light for a large. This thing is 1450 grams plus or minus. A medium is 1350, I believe. So it is on the lighter side. It's not crazy light like an Iro or some of the other Euro brands, but with all the technology that's in this helmet, they still kept it pretty light, which is a good thing. And it also helps on long motos that it doesn't hurt your neck or neck fatigue or it doesn't wear you out. The other thing is immediately when I put this on, comparing it to the older V3, your head sits a little bit farther back in this helmet, where I found the old V3, when I put it on, I was pulling the chin bar forward, trying to kind of settle my head into the helmet. It felt like it sat a little bit more on top or a little bit behind, where this fitment, you kind of sink farther into the helmet. The liner feels like it wraps a little farther down on your forehead, a little farther forward on your cheek and on the sides of your face. The cheek pads I feel like are a little bit firmer foam than, I tried on the old V3 and this one today riding, and the foam on the older V3 seems squishier, softer. These feel a little more firm. Obviously, that can break in and change over time. So the ventilation on this helmet is very good. I would say probably the best venting helmet that I've worn is the Alpine Stars, because there's actually feels like there's jets of air hitting the skin of your forehead. These big vents up front are really good, and they have a channel that goes all the way to the back of the helmet. The only difference is that the air that goes in here isn't actually hitting the top of your head. It's going, by the liner. So it's kind of pulling the hot air away from your head rather than actually forcing air onto the skin of your head. Also, with the fluid inside pads, there's pods. There's 7 all the way around the helmet, and I feel there's a center pad right there that I feel it's not uncomfortable, it's not a pressure point, but I do notice it. And then also there's one right in the back of the helmet that I kind of feel pressing against there. Overall, I'm really happy with this helmet. I think, some people might look at Fox as a gear company first and a helmet company second, but they put a ton of technology into this new helmet, the new V3, and I would be more than happy to wear this any day of the week. So we're going to put some more time in this lid and check back to VitalMX for product test and for more videos and more content. Thanks for watching.